were never taught how the rich really use money. From the first day you touched a coin, society handed you a script: save, budget, and spend responsibly. That script was written for one purpose: to keep you safe, predictable, and dependent. Safety ensures compliance. Safety makes you manageable. And safety blinds you to the darker, more powerful uses of wealth. The truth is uncomfortable. Financial education, as you know it, is not designed to create power. It is designed to preserve hierarchy. Because if the masses ever learned to treat wealth the way the powerful do, they would no longer be controlled by wages, pensions, or the illusion of security. History has always belonged to those who wield money as a weapon. The Medici did not dominate Florence with love. They ruled because popes and princes needed their loans. Oil barons didn't seek popularity. They bought governments. Today's tech giants don't beg for approval. They construct ecosystems where billions are dependent on their platforms. The lesson is clear. The rich do not chase money for comfort. They convert it into leverage, into dependency, into silence. While most people broadcast their consumption as proof of success, the powerful cloak their discipline and sharpen their reserves for the moment when others grow weak. This is why most people remain powerless. They confuse money with freedom, when in reality, money without strategy is sedation. Comfort is not freedom, it is a leash. The wealthy understand something darker. People will risk little to gain comfort, but they will do almost anything to avoid losing it. What you are about to learn is not financial advice. It is a ruthless psychology, a Machiavellian framework for turning wealth into influence that survives collapse, outmaneuvers rivals, and bends others to your orbit. Way 1. Treat money as a blade, not a pillow. Most people see money as comfort, a cushion against fear, a pillow for their anxieties. They spend it to escape pressure, to feel secure, to show off stability. But comfort weakens. Comfort dulls discipline. Comfort makes you dependent on the very system that rewards and punishes you at will. Machiavelli would remind us, wealth is not a pillow, it is a blade, a sharp, disciplined weapon meant for timing, attack, and defense. Used carelessly, it cuts the wrong target. Left dull, it cannot protect you. But wielded with strategy, it forces others to bend or retreat. The ordinary man spends when stressed. The strategist waits, stores, and strikes when others panic. Think of economic downturns. The masses slash budgets, sell assets, and hide. The powerful buy. They expand. They acquire rivals at half price. Their reserves, sharpened like steel, carve out dominance. In practice, here's what it looks like. Reframe money as soldiers, not sedation. Each dollar must fight for you, not die for comfort. Build a war chest, separate from living expenses, funds not for emergencies, but for opportunity. Conceal your reserves. A visible blade is predictable. An unseen one terrifies. This is the first ruthless shift. Stop hugging money like a pillow and start wielding it like a weapon. Way 2. Conceal wealth. Display discipline. If money is a blade, why would you wave it in the air? Flaunted wealth invites envy. Envy breeds sabotage. A flashy car or oversized house does not show power. It shows insecurity. And insecurity is a weakness predators can exploit. The rich, who last understand this. Wealth is safest when invisible. Discipline, not luxury, is the true signal of power. A man who restrains himself when he could indulge frightens others more than a man who shows everything he owns. Because restraint is unpredictable. It cannot be bought, measured, or manipulated. Consider the quiet billionaire who dresses modestly, lives discreetly, and moves in silence. He is underestimated, overlooked, and therefore untouchable. Meanwhile, the man who flaunts attracts regulators, rivals, parasites, and opportunists. By the time he realizes his exposure, his fortune is already bleeding out. So how do you apply this in the real world? Build invisibility. Use structures, trusts, and diversification to hide assets from easy view. Project modesty deliberately. Let discipline be your display, not consumption. Remember, admiration gained through restraint is more enduring than envy triggered by luxury. To conceal wealth is not to deny success, it is to protect and multiply it. What is unseen cannot be attacked, what is restrained cannot be predicted, and what is disciplined cannot be broken. Way 3. Build independence before income. The average person is obsessed with income. They chase promotions, salaries, and bonuses. They measure their worth by how much money flows in each month. But what they fail to see is that income without independence is just a golden leash. A man earning $500,000 a year can still be powerless if his survival depends on a single employer. He may look rich, but he is owned. He censors himself to keep his position. He obeys rules not because he believes in them, but because his paycheck demands it. This is not wealth. This is dependency, wrapped in prestige. Machiavelli would insist, before you pursue income, secure independence. Freedom comes not from the size of your paycheck, but from the structure of your cash flows. Independence means you can refuse, delay, or walk away without collapsing. It means your survival is not in another man's hands. Think of the investor who builds a modest portfolio of rental properties, dividend stocks, or digital assets. His monthly cash flow may not be glamorous, but it is autonomous. He cannot be silenced by a boss or fired by an employer. He may earn less than the corporate executive, but his position is far stronger. Why? Because autonomy is the foundation of power. Without it, every negotiation is weakness, disguised as compliance. With it, every interaction becomes optional, and optionality is the closest thing to sovereignty that money can buy. Translated into action, it means prioritize autonomous cash flows over high salaries. Build assets that earn without your constant labor. Separate survival money from career income. Let your job accelerate your independence, but never define it. Train your mindset to value control over numbers. $10,000 a month that you cannot lose is worth more than $50,000 that someone else controls. The powerful do not chase the appearance of wealth. They construct systems that outlive their effort. The sooner you build independence, the sooner income becomes leverage, not a leash. Way 4. Use money as a filter of character. Money does not change people, it reveals them. Under financial pressure, masks fall. Loyalty becomes opportunism, and intentions become visible. The Machiavellian understands this truth and uses it ruthlessly. Wealth is not only for buying power, it is for testing it. Offer someone a financial opportunity and watch how they behave. Do they grow arrogant, entitled, careless, or do they grow disciplined, grateful, reliable? The answer tells you who they truly are, long before words or promises can. This is why powerful families and dynasties test heirs with controlled amounts of responsibility. A fortune is not inherited, it is entrusted. If a son cannot handle a small stake with discipline, why would he be trusted with the empire? The same is true of allies, partners, and friends. A small test with money is worth more than 1,000 conversations. History is littered with examples of rulers undone by betrayal they could have foreseen had they watched how their allies handled resources. Caesar's downfall came not from enemies alone, but from those enriched by his rise, who revealed their ambition when power shifted. Wealth was the stage upon which loyalty was tested and broken. Here's how the ruthless tested in reality. Test people with small opportunities before entrusting large ones. See how they react when money is on the table. Use controlled generosity to expose motives. A man who respects limits under abundance is rare. Withdraw quickly from those who fail the test. The cost of early exit is far cheaper than the cost of betrayal. When you use money as a filter, you stop guessing people's intentions. You force them to show their nature. And when you see clearly, you can construct alliances built on reality, not illusion. The ordinary man spends money hoping to impress. The strategist spends money to reveal. That difference is everything. For impressions fade, but truth once exposed can be used forever. Way 5. Control access, not accumulation. The masses are obsessed with getting rich. They measure themselves by accumulation, the size of their houses, the number of cars, the digits in their bank accounts. But the Machiavellian mind understands something deeper. True power is not measured by how much you own, but by who cannot move without you. Think of kings throughout history. Their wealth was vast, yes, but what made them untouchable was not gold alone. It was the fact that nobles, generals, and courtiers depended on their favor for land, titles, and survival. Remove that favor, and men fell overnight from luxury to ruin. Wealth alone could be stolen, dependency could not. The same principle rules the modern world. Billionaires do not simply accumulate. They build systems where millions rely on them daily. A software empire is powerful, not because it sells a product, but because the product becomes a necessity. Remove it, and entire industries collapse. That is access control. The ruthless strategy here is clear. Stop obsessing over how much you can hoard and start focusing on how many people cannot function without touching your influence. You do not need to own everything. You only need to control the gates others must pass through. In practice, the strategy becomes clear. Position yourself in industries or niches where access is scarce, and you can be the gatekeeper. Shift from labor-based income to ownership-based leverage, equity, licensing, platforms. Design your financial moves so that others orbit you, not the other way around. When you measure wealth by accumulation, you remain in the same race as everyone else. When you measure it by access, you rise above the race itself. Accumulated wealth can be envied, taxed, stolen. Controlled access cannot be touched because it is not just money, it is infrastructure, and infrastructure bends others to your survival. Way 6. Let others think money is the prize. One of the most Machiavellian strategies of all is to let others believe money is the ultimate prize while you focus on the system that produces it. This is the difference between the chess player and the pawn. The pawn fights for a square of the board, while the chess master controls the game itself. The majority live for paychecks, promotions, and raises. They celebrate bonuses as if victory has arrived, but in reality, they are fighting for crumbs from a table they do not own. The powerful, meanwhile, design the table. They create the structures, corporations, funds, networks that hand out rewards. And because they control the source, they never need to compete for the prize. Consider the landlord versus the tenant. The tenant works overtime to afford rent. The landlord watches as tenants compete to pay him. The tenant believes the prize is the apartment. The landlord knows the prize is ownership of the system itself. The Machiavellian habit is to resist the trap of appearances. Do not fight over the visible prize. Fight for the invisible position that distributes prizes to others. Let them think the game is about salaries while you collect equity. Let them argue about bonuses while you sit quietly with shares. Applause fades. Control endures. So, in real terms, this is how it works. Never confuse the reward with the system. Always ask, who designed this prize and who gains from my competition? Seek ownership wherever possible in businesses, real estate, or intellectual property. Train yourself to remain silent when others chase short-term victories. Patience is the price of structural control. Those who believe money itself is the goal will forever remain players. Those who design the rules will forever remain rulers. And so, Machiavelli's wisdom echoes through the centuries. Never compete for the trophy. Compete for the authority that decides what trophies are worth. Way 7. Use comfort to create fear. The final and most ruthless use of wealth is not generosity, not accumulation, not even control of access. It is the quiet art of weaponizing comfort. Most people do not work hard for money itself. They work hard to preserve the lifestyle that money has already given them. A man who once lived in scarcity can endure it, but a man who has tasted comfort will do almost anything to avoid losing it. That is the psychology. The powerful exploit. Machiavelli understood that comfort enslaves, Once a subject enjoys privilege, he will fight to keep it. Remove it suddenly, and he breaks. Threaten it subtly, and he obeys. This is why rulers never give full certainty. They grant favors but keep them fragile. They feed comfort, but remind everyone it can be withdrawn. Certainty breeds carelessness. Uncertainty breeds discipline. Look at modern corporations. Employees stay in jobs they hate not because they love the work, but because the paycheck supports the mortgage, the car, the image of stability. Take that away, and fear swallows them. Their loyalty is not love, it is terror disguised as gratitude. The Machiavellian rich use this principle with precision. They do not shower endless gifts. They offer just enough comfort to bind loyalty. They let allies taste privilege, but never so much that they feel secure. A delayed payment here, a withheld favor there, not cruelty, but a reminder. Comfort is conditional. Applied ruthlessly, it looks like this. Do not overfeed dependency. Give just enough to tie loyalty, but keep security fragile. Observe what people will do to avoid losing privilege. Their desperation reveals their true nature. Apply the same discipline to yourself. Never let your own comfort become a chain that makes you predictable. The ruthless truth is simple. People fear loss more than they desire gain. When you control comfort, you control behavior, and the one who controls behavior has already won. By now, you have seen the 7 ruthless ways the rich convert wealth into power, but to stop at the habits themselves would be incomplete. Habits are weapons, yes, but weapons scattered on the ground are useless without strategy. The Machiavellian mind does not collect tactics, it fuses them into a system. What does that system look like? First, wealth must be reframed as structure, not status. If your money exists for display, it will be envied, taxed, stolen, undermined. If it exists as a fortress, it supports independence, silence, and influence without exposure. The rich who survive do not flaunt, they build. Second, you must engineer dependency. Power is never about how much you hold, it is about how many cannot move without you. Whether through capital, access, or reputation, the goal is simple. Others must orbit you. Third, money must be converted into silence and uncertainty. A man who needs applause will always be vulnerable. A man who can afford to disappear terrifies rivals. Silence is leverage. Uncertainty is fear. Both are currencies no bank can print. Fourth, wealth should be transformed into reputation capital. Money alone dies with you. But when money builds stories of reliability, ruthlessness, or indispensability, those stories echo in rooms you never enter. They attract allies, repel challengers, and multiply your influence without your effort. Finally, the Machiavellian understands that real power is in systems that outlive the individual. Dynasties, corporations, trusts, intellectual property, these are the machines that keep influence alive long after the man is gone. To die rich is nothing. To die necessary is everything. Here's how to embody it in practice. Cultivate detachment. Desire makes you predictable. Calculation makes you feared. Master delay. The rich who survive do not rush. They wait until the strike is undeniable. Wear masks when needed. Morality is a tool, not a burden. Appear virtuous, but remain strategic. Accept power without flinching. Most sabotage themselves when others depend on them. The Machiavellian does not. He accepts dependency as the price of sovereignty. And so we return to the essence. Money itself is never the true prize. It is a shadow. Those who chase the shadow remain trapped. Those who master the psychology behind it, dependency, fear, silence, reputation, systems, find that money begins to chase them. The ruthless lesson is clear. Do not aim to be rich. Aim to be untouchable. Not admired, not envied, not even loved, but necessary. The one axis others cannot move without. The gravity that bends decisions, loyalties, and lives around you. That is Machiavellian wealth. That is lasting power. And if you dare embody it, you will rise beyond fortune into the rarest category of all, the individual who no longer plays the game of money because he owns the board.